When we think of the Second World War, what usually comes to mind are massive military operations, tanks, planes, battlefronts. But at the heart of this war lay an ideology, a movement, and the powerful machinery that drove it: Nazism and Nazi Germany. In this video, I'll explain who the Nazis were, how they came to power, what they did, and how they changed the course of world history, both chronologically and thematically. At the core of the Nazi movement were nationalism, racism, especially anti-Semitism, the totalitarian state, and the cult of leadership. The party's official name was NSDAP, Nationalsozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, National Socialist German Workers' Party. Adolf Hitler was the charismatic leader of this movement. Through propaganda, mass rallies, and organizational structure, he quickly mobilized large segments of the population. The Nazis promoted the idea of the Volksgemeinschaft, people's community. A strong nation would be built through the ethnic and racial purification of society. This ideology rapidly turned into practical measures powerful enough to transform the state apparatus, laws, and everyday life. After World War I, Germany was struggling with economic collapse, hyperinflation, the Great Depression of 1929, political instability, and the deep disappointment caused by the Treaty of Versailles. The Nazis exploited this resentment to gain strength in elections. In 1933, Adolf Hitler became Chancellor, Reichskanzler, and soon after, through laws such as the Enabling Act, which transferred the powers of the parliament to the government, he effectively established a dictatorship. At this stage, state institutions, education, the media, and law enforcement were Nazified. The silencing of opposition, the dissolution of trade unions, and the restriction of civil rights were implemented rapidly. The key facts: Hitler's rise to power in 1933, and the swift establishment of a centralized dictatorship following the Enabling Act. While consolidating their power, the Nazis enacted discriminatory laws against Jews and political opponents, e.g., the Nuremberg Laws, embedding the ideology of the Aryan myth and racial purification. In foreign policy, they took steps aimed at reversing the borders and losses imposed by the Treaty of Versailles. The military was rebuilt, the Rhineland was remilitarized, Austria was annexed, Anschluss, and the Sudetenland crisis in Czechoslovakia further expanded Germany's power. This period laid the groundwork for the outbreak of the war. World War II began on September 1, 1939, with Germany's invasion of Poland. The Blitzkrieg tactics, rapid tank and air operations, initially brought great success. France fell quickly, and Western Europe was rapidly occupied. However, the war was not only a military conflict. The Nazi regime implemented systematic oppression, ethnic cleansing, forced labor, and mass killings in the occupied territories. The darkest aspect of this period was the Holocaust, which evolved into an industrialized extermination policy targeting Jews and other groups. Gas chambers, death camps, forced deportations, and death marches claimed the lives of millions. Key fact: the Holocaust was a systematic, state-sponsored extermination policy by the Nazis, targeting millions of Jews as well as other groups. According to the USHMM, the Holocaust period is defined as 1933-1945. The course of the war began to turn against the Nazis around 1942-1943. On the Eastern Front, the disaster at Stalingrad, the encirclement and surrender of the German 6th Army in January 1943, halted Nazi advances and allowed the Soviets to seize strategic initiative. In the Atlantic and Western fronts, the Allied landings in Normandy on June 6, 1944, D-Day, established a strong foothold in Western Europe. This forced Germany to fight on two fronts and accelerated the process leading to its ultimate defeat. In May 1945, Germany surrendered, bringing the war in Europe to an end. Some Nazi leaders committed suicide, some fled, and many were arrested. One of the most significant steps was the Nuremberg Trials, conducted by German and international authorities. Leading Nazi figures were tried for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and crimes against peace. These trials became a cornerstone for modern international criminal law. Subsequently, Germany was divided into occupation zones, denazification programs were implemented, and under the conditions of the Cold War, it was split into West and East Germany. The legacy of Nazism left enduring lessons at legal, cultural, and educational levels. The Nuremberg Trials, held in 1945-46, laid the foundations for modern war crimes law. Nazism is not merely a historical period. It serves as a vivid warning in the modern world of how fragile democracy can be and how propaganda and hatred can escalate into mass violence. Law, education, Commemorative practices, museums, memorials, educational programs, and international cooperation lie at the heart of efforts to prevent similar tragedies from recurring. Understanding the past is a vital resource for strengthening human rights protection and democratic institutions. Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and please give the video a like if you enjoyed it.